Yeah, go ahead, tell me.
Ma'am, interpreted languages are those who compile the code and then gets into means the source code gets converted into compiled code at by line. But the compiled languages converts the source code and then get into compiled code, but only at once time. So that is the main difference I get to know.
Okay, great. Somebody else? Suma, would you like to go take a go at it?
Yes, ma'am. I think so. The same thing, the same points are also collected, ma'am. Interpreter is a language which converts the source code to mission level code line by line, whereas compiler compiles the code at a time. Like it compiles the whole code at a time, whereas interpreter compiles the code line by line.
Okay, great. Lokesh, what about you? Okay, Naveen sir, did you figure out something?
No.
Hmm. All right, so we'll have a quick discuss. Like, I'll just go over it briefly. So it's not that difficult. It's actually pretty easy. If somebody didn't understand it, you can see it. So interpreter and compiler, what's the difference between them is interpreter translates programs one statement at a time, as both of you said, completely correct. They go line by line. They will read one line and like check it, then they will read another line, then they will read another line. What does the compiler do? It reads the whole file at once and then it gives you the output, or like whatever, if there's an error or something, but it will read the whole thing. Interpreter goes line by line. If there's an error in one line, it will show you that error. When once you solve that error, then it will move on. Now interpreter usually takes less amount of time to analyze code. Obviously it goes line by line. That's why if there's an error, it just stops and tell you, and then when you figure it out, it goes back again working. Overall execution time is comparatively slower than compilers. What compilers do? Compilers take large amount of time to analyze the source code because it goes over the complete file. However, the overall execution time is comparatively faster than interpreters. No object code is generated. Now this is like new. I think you guys didn't mention this, but this is an important point, like a different point that you can go about. It does not have an object code, doesn't generate object code, while compiler does. What is object code? Once we run an interpreter or a compiler, it reads our source code. Source code is the program we made, the program we wrote. That file is a source code. And then what does the compiler do? It reads the whole file, checks if there's any error, throws error, and then it creates an output file. So it will create another extra file after reading your source code, and it stores it over there, the output, which is called as the object code. So compiler generates an object code, so it takes some extra memory, but your interpreter doesn't create any object code because it doesn't read the complete file at once. It goes line by line. That's why it is more memory efficient. It takes less memory. Now JavaScript, Python, Ruby, they use interpreters, the comparatively newer languages. But C, C++, Java, they use compilers. So what happens when you run a Java program? The compiler will read the complete file and then it will start working on it. All right? Is it clear? Do you guys want to ask something? No? Okay, so we'll just go ahead. So what we're gonna do today is, so I hope you guys have no doubt. So we'll just move on from there. Does anybody want to ask something? Give me a yes or a no. No? All right. So we will go on. We'll do this later. We'll go on to data types and variables. So do you all know what are variables? Do you guys have an idea what are variables? If you guys have written a little bit of code like once in a while, you might know what variables are. Can anybody tell me what are variables? No one? You guys don't know what variables are? It's fine. So we'll just go over it once. If you guys have an idea, let me know that you haven't. If you all have an idea, I'll go over like more quickly. And if you guys don't know, then we'll dive in deep. So Naveen sir had an idea what are variables. What about others?
Hello, ma'am.
Zero, two. Yes.
It's just the given to a storage.
Yeah. Great. It's the name given to this. Yeah. Use correct. So, okay, I'll go over it once. What are variables? So, whenever in a program you want to store some data, right? You have a program. In the program, um, you maybe have some value, you have some numbers. You wanna let's take an example. You want to add two numbers. So, where are you gonna store those numbers? You're gonna store them in variables. Now, what are you can keep on changing their value if you want. Later in the program, you can change the value of a variable, so they're changeable. It's a named location. Like if you want to store the number, let's say, where's my compiler, let's say over here. If you wanna, if I write a equals to 10, like we don't write it as like that. I'm just like, this is not the correct syntax, but this a, your a will be the variable and it has the value 10 in it. All right, you will actually write that int a is equals to 10, and your int, what is this? This is a data type. We will go over data types right now. A is a variable, so you store the value 10 in it. So now let me show you one thing, that they're changeable. How, what do I mean by that is, now if I do should have not erase that, system dot out dot print ln. If I say a, so it should print the value. See, you get a 10. But now if I want, I can write a is equals to 20. And now when I do this and I execute it, you get 20. Right? So what happened? The value of a changed from 10 to 20. That means variables are changeable. You can change their values if you want. Is that clear? All right. So it's a reserved area. When you declare a variable, what happens in the memory? A location is reserved with that name. So you're using this name over here, data, in our example A, to call this memory location, and you were fetching whatever was stored in it. So whatever was stored in this memory location, you can get that value, you can access that value with this name. All right. So it's like a good thing, variable, it can vary. You can see that, good way of remembering it. So is name of reserved area allocated in memory. So I hope that is clear. It's variable. In its name you can change its value, and it's a named location in memory. So you use, every time you declare a variable, a part of memory is reserved under that name, and whatever you store over there gets stored in that memory location. So there are different types of variables. There are local variables, instance variables, static variables. I'll move forward to explaining these, but once I want to know that you guys are clear with what are variables. Give me a quick yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Clear.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, great. What about Suma ma'am and Lakshmi ma'am? Is it not clear to you
Yes,
guys?
ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Clear, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so we know. Okay, great. I love when you all interact, all right? So that I know that everybody is moving on the same pace. If it's not, even if one of you like have a doubt, do ask. I will go over it again. All right. So they're local and they're instance and static variables. Let's see it quickly. So local variables, a variable declared inside the body of a method is called local variable. You can use this only within that method. Cannot use it outside that method. If you do static keywords, we'll go over these keywords again. But what you need to know is like uh, over here, this is your method. If you know C, C++, you call these functions. Over here, we call them methods. So in this method, whatever, this is a local variable to this. Outside main, you cannot call this A. This A is only inside this main method. Okay. So this is a local variable. It's local to the function, to the method it is inside. And you can only use this A inside main, outside main, you cannot use this A. Alright. Then we have instance variables declared inside the class but outside the body of the method. It's called instance. It is not declared static. You do not use static with instance variable. You can use static with your local variables. It is called instance variable because its value is instance specified and is not shared among instances. You can like, okay, let me explain it over here. So this is a class, right? This is your class. Now, if I declare a variable, let's say over here, if I write private int a equals to, let's say something else, a b, let's just do this, all right? So now this is your, what is this? This is your instance variable, and this one is your local variable. All right. Now, why are they called instance variable? If you know in classes, you can create like instances of a class. If you guys have a little bit of idea, if you don't, it's all right. So this is like this variable is part of this whole class. So whatever is inside this class can use this b. Like I can use it, like if I say it's 30, I can use it inside the here. I can use it over here if I want. Let me print it for you guys so that you guys can see it over here. Oh, I'm sorry, it's non-static. We'll go over it again. Like, let me just leave this. But what it does is these instance variables, they can be used inside the whole class. And what happens is you can create instances of the class and then you can use it in other classes. So we would be seeing like when we'll create multiple classes, you will understand it. Now there are static variables. For static variables, a variable which is declared static is called a static variable. So if you write static in front of a variable, it will be a static variable. All right, you can see it over here. This whatever is inside this class is a instance variable. Whatever is outside this class is a static variable.
She'll just join us again, just a second. I guess there's a network problem at her end.
Sorry, Les, can you hear me now? Actually, there was a little bit of connection problem, how I ended up saying. Can you hear me? Can you guys hear me?
We can hear you, but your voice is still cracking up.
Oh, okay. Wait.
Yeah, it's fine now. It's fine now.
It's fine. Right. I'm having a little bit of connectivity issue over here. We'll keep that in mind from tomorrow. I'll check it beforehand. So yeah, I was asking, do you guys have any idea about data types?
Again, it's cracking again.
Hello, can you guys hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
No, ma'am, we can't. We can't hear you. We can see your.
Oh my.
We can see your screen, but you are not audible. Guys, kindly write yes or no. Can you see the screen? Type in the chat.
Can you guys see me? Can you guys hear me? Can you guys hear me now?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, you are audible.
Okay, great. So, yeah, I'll keep in mind my connectivity from tomorrow. I'll check it beforehand. So, what I was saying is Yeah, we're going over data types. So I'll just go over it really quickly. Just let me know if you guys know about it. Give me a quick yes. If you guys have no idea, then just give me a no.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Ma'am, I was having a doubt in variable.
Okay, you have a doubt? Yeah, ask.
Ma'am, why did you write private before the int data type in that code?
Oh yeah, so those are access specifiers. We're gonna go over them in tomorrow's class.
Okay, ma'am.
That's what I have planned out for tomorrow. Those are access specifier. What does it do? Like when you create a date, like let's say you have a huge project, all right, and you have different classes and different methods, and there's some variables that you don't want other classes and other methods to, read or to use. So what you do, you use these access specifiers, which can be a private, static. It could be, uh, there are others too. So what it does, it binds that to like specifically what that means, like static. The variable will become static and it will become private. So let's not get into that right now. That's exactly what we're going to go over in tomorrow's class. All right. So think it will be more clear in tomorrow's class because it's kind of a little bit complicated. I'll do overgo some programs with you guys showing that, so that becomes more easier. So now I'll go over data types real quick. All right. So data types are, they're primitive, non-primitive. So what are primitive data types? They're Boolean like you write int is a data type that tells like that variable is of type integer. All right, it's an integer and number integer. Uh, Short, int, long, these are all for numbers. All right, like it defines like is it a short number or they're like different limits. Like for a very large number you would use long, and by large I means like really large, like not like millions or something, like way ahead of that. Like I'm talking about those like numbers that would be used by like NASA people to calculate stuff. Those kind of numbers is what we're going for. Float and double is used for decimal numbers, the ones with points like 1.2, 1.3. You're going to store them in a float, or if it's a really big number in double, so you can use float and double for that. Boolean is a special kind of thing. It stores only true and false. All it stores is true and false. So a value of a Boolean variable can be true or it can be false. Then we have char. What char does is you can store a single character in it. Char stands for character, like a single character. So I'll show you them. So and then we have non-primitive. These are called primitive data types. The origin, like you can call them the OG data types, the ones you would be using. Non-primitive are like classes, interfaces, arrays. We're gonna see these later. Class is also is a non-primitive data type, interface, and arrays. So let's get over to the compiler real quick. So anything that comes before a variable is a data type. You have to define a data type. You cannot just write a equals to 10. You're not telling Java what kind of value a should store. When you tell Java that a is of type int, it creates a memory location for a value of int. I cannot write, if I write here 10.1, which will, like, this should give an error. See, it's incompatible because the type was int and you are storing a decimal value which should have been a float. If I make it float, then it will work. Wait a second. Let's try making it a double. I have no idea what. I'll open my VS Code from tomorrow. Yeah, all right. See, it works now. Ready to go. Yeah. So I hope I'm still audible because over here my screen is kind of lagging. So I don't know if you guys can actually see what I'm doing. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, great. So yeah, let's see it over here. So we have Boolean. It can either be false or it can either be true. That's what it does. These are the default values. So if you give nothing, it just stores a zero for it. A short and a byte. And yeah, I don't think there's a need to go over this. You guys, some of you do have idea what data types are, so I'll just move ahead now. I will share some file. What I'm going to do today is I'm going to share some links with you. Those who have zero idea about variables and data types, I want you all to go over it once. So I will go over the topic. I will send it to you if you have any doubt. If you have any doubt, tomorrow at 5 o'clock, join exactly at 5 and I will clear your doubt. What I'm going to do is I'm going to move on to writing a program because otherwise it's going to end up getting too boring and I don't want to waste time doing that. So what we are gonna do is we're gonna write a program to add two numbers. Very simple. And what we're gonna do, we're gonna see how a structure of a Java program should be. So what are the elements? So there is a documentation section, there's package statement, import statements, interface, class definition, main method, and whatever inside the main method. So what we've seen right now is this. You saw the class definition over here. This was a class definition and this was a main method. And there was like things inside the main method that we have just removed right now. Right? So we're gonna read about the other section. So this is what we've seen. This is what we have an idea about. You guys wrote your Hello World program yesterday. So you guys did this. Now, what is the documentation section? So now this is not important. It's not like if you don't write a documentation section, your program will not run. It's not like that. But you should do it. What it does is what it like it's just a part. They say like this is how it should be structured. Like this is how programmers write it. So if you're reading other people's code, you will know what it means. You should write your program in a structured way. Let's say these are kind of like what I'm trying to explain you guys is if you guys know in like chemistry and stuff, you have those naming conventions. In physics, you have like you say kg, like kg is like a standard weight. You have SI units. So those are like fixed ways of doing it so that everybody around the world understands what we are talking about. So in coding, these are like syntaxes and this is like how things are structured so that whatever code you write, somebody else can also read it in an easier way. They understand what you're doing. So if you write it by the structure, the first thing should be a documentation section. It should tell who's you can like what all you can write who's the author. So or like let's skip on the author part. We're just telling what the program does. All right, you can tell who wrote it, like which company it belongs to, and like who's written the code. But what it should be telling is what it is about. So what are we doing? Program to add two numbers. All right, that's what we're doing. This is the documentation. Somebody will open it now. They know, okay, they are writing a program to add two numbers. Documents section is like added by using your comments. So this is how you write a single line comment, and this is how you write multiple lines of comments, right? You write a slash and this. For documentation comment, you should actually be using a this kind of delimiter kind of thing. So what it does is, I think it makes it easier to store it in a file later on. I think like we just use what they're telling us to do, but you can write it as a normal comment if you're not writing something too advanced. Documentations can be like pages too, like when it's like from a company or like from a firm, it could go on to be longer. And then there's package declaration. Now package declaration, if I have one open, you will find it in like bigger codes where there are different packages being used. Over here, see, can you guys see this? It says package com example dot let's chat. So this is an Android app which is called Let's Chat, and it's in the com.example.let's chat package is what they're using. So I don't know if you guys have an idea, but What are packages in Java? Those are like folders. And in those folders, there is like different files, and different files have different code. Like your what do you call the system.out.println, when you write that, system is in the lang package. So your lang package is like over there, like by default you don't need to call it. If you have ever used scanner class, if somebody has done some Java coding before, so when you use it, you have to call the util, right? So these are like different kind of packages. And how do you define it? You, if you want to use a certain package, you write it over here. You can write package Java pointer, you can like whatever they're written. So your package is like goes after your documentation. It is also optional. It is placed after documentation. In this section, we declare the package name in which class is placed. In whatever package the class is there. System is your class. It's inside the lang package. Your scanner is also like, different kind of packages. And then you have import statements. What do you import? You can import a class, or you can import classes of a particular package, all right? So when you want to use scanner, this is not, the util class is not there by default. So you have to do java.util.scanner. So like it's in your program, you can use it. Now, what do you might be, if you are not familiar with it, you might be wondering, what do we import? Like, why are we importing, and how does it make sense? So, yesterday I told you guys that Java has a lot of predefined stuff. It's like already defined over there in its, libraries. They have libraries. Libraries has different stuff in it. So, if you want to use a certain library, if you want to use a certain piece of code that is already defined in Java, you need to import it. You need to import it into your code. Or there's even a different, when you write huge codes, like huge amount of codes, there's a different section, different complete section of your code, and you want to use that. So you import it. You import it into your this, whatever your class or you're writing. So that's when we use import statements. After that, we have the interface section. So you can skip over it. What it is, like you write it before your class. It doesn't have, like you use the word interface to do it. So it's like interface car. It will have different, you can declare these functions. This is a function, a method being declared. It doesn't have a body. It doesn't have those curly braces and like stuff inside of it. You just declare like whatever class is using this interface will have a start function, will have a stop function, right? um yeah, so it can have constants. It doesn't have variables. It can have constant values. a class a class use implements keyword to use this interface. So if it's anywhere in the class implements interface, like sorry, a class implements car, that means it is using that. So like you, how it will be written is, you can have like a, before a class you can have an interface. Let's say, let's do the same one as them. Let's just copy that, why not? So if you have something like, like this, you can write something like this. So this is your interface, and then you can write hello world implements car. So now this hello world will be able to use whatever is in here. So now it should have these two functions to work, but we don't have it right now. So we can just, but that's how you write it. Okay. And here is where you can write your import statements. Over here you can have import whatever java dot util, right? And before that, documentation. Then you can have your package. So I'm not writing the package, so but that's where it goes. So you have, then you have a class. We've done that. Then you have your variables and every other thing. And then you should have a main. Main is like the starting point. We discussed this yesterday as well. When a program, starts compiling, the first place the compiler goes to is your main function, your main method. Oh, wait. And then you can have your different methods if you want. They also have this, There's an example. So this is their documentation part. They have, they've written the author, who's the author, and then they have written other stuff. So this is the documentation, what they're doing. Like when we write in reverse, it's called, they've explained what palindrome is and other things. Import the scanner class of java.util package, and then you have, this is the importing, they're importing it. Then they have their class, and then they have their methods and everything. Right, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get rid of all of this. I'm gonna write a simple add to numbers kinda, program. So what's the first thing I should do? Can you guys yeah, so what's the first thing will you do when you're writing a program to add two numbers? I want you guys to tell me. Hmm? What should I do to add two numbers? Yeah, somebody read the numbers. All right, right now. Okay, so how do I read the numbers? I
Ma'am,
should,
assign two variables.
Declare the variables.
yes, great. I should have variables. Now, to have a variable, I should first give it a data type so that Java knows what kind of memory location it should make. So let's say we have two int numbers. So we have int a, and then we have an int b. Now these are empty right now. A will, like by default it should have like a value of 0. It will not show if you print it, but in the memory location it would have stored a 0. It would have given it a space and stored a 0, same as B. It doesn't have a value right now. If we will print it, nothing will show on the screen. All right, so now I should give it some value. Let's say we have A is 10, this is, and B is 20. All right, I think you guys follow, right? So we declared, this is declaration, and this is assigning. You declared a variable, you told Java, like, I am going to use this one variable called A, which is of type int. You should, give it some memory space. And then you said A's value is 10 and B's value is 20. Okay. And now you have to calculate the sum, right? So how we're going to go about it? What should I do next? Yeah.
Ma'am, system.out.println in braces a plus
Mm-hmm.
b.
Yeah, great. That's a really nice optimized way of writing it. But I want to take it step by step so that everybody follows. That's correct what you said. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna have another memory location save the sum of both of these variables. C is equals to A plus B. Great, Naveen. So great. But what we're gonna do is C. We don't have C over here. Java doesn't know what C is. We need to tell Java what C is. So C is also
Declare
be
the
is gonna be
NC,
of
ma'am.
type integer. Why? When you add two ints, you get an int. That's why. And then we're going to write C is equals to A plus B. So whatever in A plus B will get added. Whatever is over here will get added and will be stored in C. Another thing, like when you assign stuff, it's assigned this way, like whatever's on the right side of the equals to sign, this gets stored in whatever is in the left side. All right. So 10 will get stored in A. A is not stored in 10. Like if I write something as 10 equals to A, this is like 10 is, this is wrong. This doesn't make sense. Okay. So now I'm going to print it system dot out dot println, and then we're printing C. So we're executing it. I hope it does work. Yeah, you got 30. Now, as these are variables, you can change the value. If I change the value of B, this output will change itself. So if we do that, we will get 40. Right? Do you guys follow what I did? In similar way, you can do different things. Now, let's try doing, or let's not do it right now. What I want you to do, so your first task for today, I'm gonna keep on writing your tasks over here. So your task is write program to, we already did add, so I want you to subtract, I want you to multiply and I want you to divide. All right, two ints. You have to take two ints and do multiplication, division, and subtraction. Keep in mind when you divide, you might get a float or a double. You might get a number with decimals. So probably take your this thing, your C, this to be like double. All right. If you make it double, it will work. Okay. In a division case, because when you divide two numbers, it's like it might not divide completely. Now, what else I wanted to do is write add two numbers with different data types. Okay, so we added an int and an int. I wanted to do float and a float, or double and a double. Try doing an int and a float. Try that. All right, I want you guys to try that. And what I want is this one. I want this one in the group. Okay, in the group chat, I want you guys to show me these. For this, you guys are gonna try different things. You're gonna write it down. What kind of different kind of outputs you saw. What happened when you added two double, or what happened when you added an int and a double. What problems you faced. Whatever was the output, and tomorrow we're gonna discuss about it. All right. This is what I want in the group. Great. And I'm gonna share some links with you. I want you guys to go over that. It's gonna be about data types. So if you guys get stuck anywhere, let me know and we'll discuss tomorrow. Now I'm not gonna go over access specifiers today because it's gonna take a lot of time. So we're done over here. Do you guys want to you guys wanna ask something, or like does somebody wanna, let's try something out. Can you guys can we do? Okay, that's all that what I want you to do. Let me show you different kind of data types. So what we're gonna do right now is you have your normal int a equals to 10, which is your integer. Then you have a double. So you can write double a equals to 10.1, which is your floats get stored in it. And then you have char. So what char does is it will store a character and stored in it will be stored in single quotes. All right, it will be stored in single quotes. And what is like a cool thing is you can actually add two characters. If you write a, I did it wrong though. It should be like a, yeah. So you can add these, and why can you add like two A's? These are like alphabets. When you add them, you actually get like a number back. If you add two characters, you might get an integer back. And why that is possible, let me show you. So there's something known as um, ASCII code. All right, and this is what Java uses. So these are given values, okay? ASCII of these are C alphabets. Like W is actually 119, like 119. X small x is 120. They're different ASCII code for capital values. All right. So what happens? What Java does? It doesn't store like capital A somewhere. It stores this ASCII value, and if you call it, it might it can you know print a number. Let me try. I don't really remember how it's done, but I think I can show you guys system.out.println. If I write int C. Let me see if it works. If it works, you might see the sky value. See 65. You saw this? What is this? This is the sky value of capital A. Now, if I make it a small a, it should change. Do you guys see this? Do you guys understand? So what char does, you store char in single quotes, not double quotes, single quotes. And it stores a single character. You cannot have like two, three, something. No, a single character. And how Java stores the ASCII value. ASCII values is like capital A 65. You can like calculate what Z will be, and small a is 97 as you saw. I'll just show it to you. So capital A is 65 and it goes till Z. So Z is going to be 90, right? And small a is 97. We saw it. What about small z? Small z is 122, right? So that's how it works. That's how char works. And then we have Boolean. Boolean is also a little bit different. Boolean, let's say D, is equal to true. Now it stores just true or false. That's all you can do. You can either have a true or you can have a false. And those true and false specifically should be in lowercase, and there's no like double quotes, single quotes, nothing. It's just true or false in lowercase in small alphabets. All right, it just stores the values like a true false. If you have want to have a true false kind of situation, that's what you go with. Okay. Yeah, and then there's strings. We're gonna go deep into strings. We're gonna do a lot of problems on strings. So it's not a data type. String is not a data type. What it's used for? It's for storing multiple. Like if I want to say I happy. What? Anyway, just dot print ln and you write a, and then okay, that will give a problem. It should be like e. You cannot have two like different variables having the same name. Okay, okay. Wait, why is it? I'm sorry, it's not. It's string. It's not strings. It's string. Like it should not be an extra s. See? So if you want to have different, sentences. If you want to have sentences, use string, not with an extra s, and it's stored in double quotes, not in single quotes. Characters are in single quotes, strings are in double quotes. You guys get that? I hope you do. Um, and yeah, so these are different kind of data types. I hope it's like more clear and you guys got to know about ASCII codes. So that's like a cool thing which it can do, and it's like kind of you can actually write. I'm gonna do and C plus F. Let's see what happens. All right, if I write another char F and give it a value of, let's say, small a, and if I execute it, oh, sorry, that's not how you do it. See, you got a number. You added two characters and you got a number, which is kind of cool. Like if you can do like actual calculations with it, if you want, like if you're implementing certain method, if you want, a function, you want to do something by adding different things, and you get these number. There are also some special, even special characters have like if you want to use like this page doesn't have it, like different symbols like the add symbol and different kind of symbols will also have, let's see, horizontal tab. It has an sky code of 9, and there are like a lot more. There are a lot. Ampersand, this symbol has 38. So if I somehow, if I do, let's try, we can do it. If I write char and I write 38, let's see if this will. See, you got ampersand. So you change a number into a symbol because this is the sky code, and you change into a character, you got ampersand. Did you guys get it? Are you guys following?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So I hope this is like more interesting than yesterday's class. Yesterday's class was I'm like was too much story. It was kind of boring. Even today's is not. I will not say this is too much of coding, but we'll slowly, gradually move ahead. So I think that's it. Tomorrow we're gonna move forward to access specifiers. You don't really need very deep knowledge in it, but we'll go over them. I hope your tasks are clear. You also
Yes,
have
ma'am.
to like read through links. I'm going to share some links. So these are the three tasks. Anybody has any question about the task? Hmm?
No questions,
If
ma'am.
you, yeah. So no questions. All right then. If you guys don't have any questions, then you can start leaving the class. I will wrap it up
Just a
over
second,
here.
just a second. I
Yeah.
request everyone to always unmute and speak instead of writing. Don't prefer writing in the chat box. Please keep this session interactive because it should not be one-sided session that Vani ma'am is teaching you and you guys are just typing in the chat or something. Just don't do that. Like keep the session interactive. Always answer the questions and wherever you feel the doubt, kindly unmute yourself and ask instead of writing in the chat box. Am I clear to everyone? Kindly unmute and say yes or no.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Shweta ma'am,
Yes,
clear?
ma'am, understood.
Okay, great. So always unmute yourself and speak. Okay, thank you so much. Now over to Vani ma'am.
Yeah, great. So that's actually, you guys should follow that. It will be way more fun to learn that way. Even you guys will be, as you will start interacting, you will learn even more. All right. If you like, when you start asking, when you start, being a part of it, it will be more fun. And maybe one day I'm going to ask you guys, if possible, like share your laptop screens and we can have, a coding session on the spot. But that will be like maybe after a week when you all are comfortable with coding, like everybody's on the same page. So yeah, so if you guys have any doubt, you can ask me right now. If you don't, you can start leaving the class. I'll share the task in the class group. Another thing, yeah, keep in mind, do not text me after let's say 8:39. Like I'm not like, do not text me in like personally, or even avoid the group. Like that's like after 9, don't text. You can text in the morning, keep your queries. In the morning, start texting me. I will reply it. Like try not to text after 9 at night, and in the morning, like you can start texting by 9. So let's keep it 9 to 9 so that nobody gets disturbed, right? So I hope you can follow that. And yeah, great. If you guys don't have any more queries, you can start leaving the class.
Hello, ma'am.
Yeah.
Ma'am, if possible, will you please just do the practicals in compile the code in command prompt?
Yeah, for now it's okay. You guys, right now you guys can keep on using your command prompts. What I'm gonna do is what I've like, because I saw like you guys told me like it should be more about coding. I think you will get bored by these simple problems. After like going over the basics, I will move you guys over to making small apps in Java. It's more interesting. You will be learning the basics. It's gonna be like the same thing, not very difficult, but it will be more fun and interesting. So that time I will ask you all to download Android Studio on your laptops. But right now, if you're using command prompt to run your programs, it's fine. If you're using some, Eclipse or VS Code or something, it's fine. I'm not asking you to download it and, it will like take time to set up, and like then you don't even use it in the future or whatever. So if you want, you can do it. I will recommend Visual Studio Code, VS Code, if you want to. If you don't want to do it, it's also all right. Okay?
Sure, ma'am.
Yeah. So, yeah, so I think we should end the session. It's 6 o'clock.